So if you look at the course outline that you guys have, you'll be able to see the course outline appearing like this. And basically, I want to go to advanced financial reporting. Should have been reporting, financial reporting. It's even here. It's on page number 52. Page number 52. You should be able to see advanced financial reporting. We had already gone through this with you. So specifically today, I would want us to look at this topic number 6. It's a theory topic as we wait for results to be released this week. For us to get great numbers, we shall, in this case, use these 2 sessions to look at these other reports and emerging issues in financial reporting. So then here, what do they want us to talk about? They want us to talk about the conceptual framework and the process of developing new accounting standards, the IFRS standards. Quite close to this are the proposals to revise, update existing standards and recommendations to issue new ones, what we call the discussion papers and exposure drafts. 6.3, we have very, very important here, management commentary, management discussions, and analysis. 6.4, Capital Markets Authority, corporate governance reporting requirements. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. For those of you who are, for example, in the SACCO movement, we expect in this case here quite a serious corporate governance issue in these SACCOs. You know how corporates are governed. So automatically, I'm able to foretell a big problem. Of course, you guys know something to do with Cusco. Cusco is the umbrella body of all the SACCOs. If you look at their website, they are boasting of having about 4,000 SACCOs as their members. So I don't know what happened. Again, this must be a corporate governance issue. Cusco started getting into this sector space of, taking deposits and lending the same to SACCOs and, of course, outsiders. And now, unfortunately, Cusco, in this case here, took directors from most of these SACCOs. All these SACCOs here, most of the biggest SACCOs, Police SACCO, etc., the directors became members of what here, Cusco, and now that is where the rain began to beat them. Poor corporate governance strategies. So these guys started lending themselves money without a proper procedure being followed, without, for example, guarantors. And what were these directors doing? They were going back to their mother SACCOs, and advocating their mother SACCOs here to give Cusco lots of money. So and when the minister was going live beginning of the year, all right, we were able to see that the directors themselves had lent 5.2 billion. Must be over 5.2 billion Kenya shillings, in this case here, which are not guaranteed. You can imagine that kind of a loop. So you can imagine now what is going to happen to what here to these SACCOs. We have received already, like myself, I'm a member of 2 SACCOs, all right? Like now, one of them I've seen Mwasibu to be very specific. They've called an extra annual general meeting, a special annual general assembly to come and update their members regarding this Cusco, like how much did Mwasibu in this case here put into Cusco? Will that amount be recovered? I really doubt. So members' savings, in this case here, some people are saving for their retirement in these SACCOs. Now we're going to see most of these SACCOs shaken to the core. The other day, for those of you who follow financial news, you saw like one of our best performing SACCOs, Police SACCO to be very specific, together with, for example, Metropolitan SACCO. Now they are in the limelight that, things are not very good. That is one of the root causes. Corporate governance is key. And as accountants, even before I start teaching you these things, and gentlemen, I would want to, caution you. Because if you look at all that thing accountants are involved, accountants are involved. Normally, you'll get, for example, like the accountant in some of these, now the one that is really having a big problem, the Cusco one. If accountants are there, if we have in this case here the director who is in charge of finance there, I mean, like how much perhaps did he get for allowing this kind of a gigantic theft to get a loan? Maybe the guy got like, say, 10 million Kenya shillings, bought in this case here, for example, a VA. But because of that, putting his hands, his fingers on the cookie jar, look at now what he has left to go away. And trust you me, most of the other directors in that place here, because they resigned, like the MD resigned, CEO resigned from Cusco, if you remember the story very well, most of those guys will get out of this thing scot-free. The person who was signing documents there most of the times is the accountant. Accountants, I'm calling upon you, let's learn how to live within our means. The moment you are up there, CFO or wherever, you are getting your 400,000, your 500,000, that's a lot of money if it is planned very well. Even 100,000, it's a lot of money. If planned very well, you can still live very well. When guys come, you're the custodian of these organizations. You are the biggest internal control system of these organizations. You should have foreseen straight away that this money that is going out is not guaranteed properly. All right. And at times they can really push you, these people, and they push you so much, it doesn't harm resigning. I know it's quite hard because of jobs outside here. It doesn't harm resigning. All right. All right. So to me, ladies and gentlemen, accountants, you have a role to play. And I'm happy to be among now the teachers who are teaching you these very last papers. And here now we're going to be talking about corporate governance, rules governing, rules in this case, directing entities to posterity, for us to be able to have entities that we run sustainably, All right. Then when you look around, still on this course outline, we have global reporting initiatives guidelines on sustainability reporting. Remember, when we talk of sustainability reporting, as you shall be seeing, we normally report on 3 Ps. We have the profit, we have the planet, we have people. If you want, in this case here, your company to be sustainable, enjoy longevity in future, ensure that you handle the people aspect very well. Are you paying your employees something that is able to sustain them, first of all? Because you see, when employees, I mean, their livelihood is at risk. They can't tire, they're seeing money here. There'll be a lot of theft going on, all right? So in talk of sustainability reporting, you must be good to the stakeholders, all right? The suppliers will get, for example, in this case, you're an accountant in a company, and you're not even advocating for suppliers to be paid, all right? Always, before you order goods, ensure that there is a budget for paying these suppliers. And if your policy is that we pay within 30 days, as an accountant, you should be a proponent. Let's pay as per our policies like that. Then we have integrated reporting. We have materiality guidelines for financial reporting. And then 6.8, we have legal and ethical issues in financial reporting. I'll be making use of some books here. Yeah, and I'm going to send you this book immediately. So here, I will start with integrated reporting. Yeah. They are highly summarized notes, very, very good notes. Integrated reporting definition. An integrated report tells its users how the reporting entity creates value in the short, medium, and long term. How does RCM, in this case here, create value to all the stakeholders? In the short, medium, and long term. So in talk of long term, what does that mean? It means, ladies and gentlemen, that we are looking at sustainability. We are looking at longevity. So when we talk of value, we are looking at the capitals. Value is conceptualized in terms of capitals. The integrated reporting framework identifies six capitals. We have what we call the financial capital. Of course, financial capital, you're looking at the capital structure. We're looking at the debt. We're looking at the equity. Then we have a manufactured capital. Of course, for you to be able to produce and add value, then you need, in this case here, some assets around here, for example, buildings, right? We shall be calling that one manufactured capital. Then we have your intellectual capital. Intellectual capital, you're looking at the trademarks. All right. Then we have, in this case here, trademarks, copyrights, it is those things, intellectual capital. Then we have, in this case here, human resources, and ensure that your staff are trained very well. When they're trained very, very well, of course, you'll be able to have a competitive advantage. Then we have social and relationships here, capital. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, even most of us, at times in this case here, we keep on crying that there are no jobs, you're not able to do businesses very well. I mean, all of us must strive to have a bigger footprint in terms of social capital. Once you start getting some money here, resources here, you should never fear joining these clubs. Social capital is huge. You can go and just pump onto a Destiny connector in a golf club. You can easily pump into a Destiny connector, in this case, in a church function. Don't be that kind of a student, that kind of a person who simply goes to church, for example, you just go to church at around 10 a.m. And by the time even the pastor is trying to say the last statement here to close the entire church, you are again walking out. I mean, you have to stay with the people. You must get your connections correctly. All right? That, for example, you are in our AFR or financial reporting WhatsApp group. You don't talk at all there, all right? Once in this case, you do your exams, you are out. Like myself, I'm a member of how many groups? Like 700 groups on WhatsApp, all right? And I try to be relevant there because I know the concept of relationships. I know the concept of what your social capital. We don't throw away our old friends, including our high school, classmates here. We need to walk the journey. So the same case, a company should be able to build, add lots of value to its social and relationship capital. So for example, how does it relate with the surrounding community? I mean, you owe the surrounding community a lot of things. The surrounding community is the one that is giving you labor, and at times it is cheap labor. The surrounding community is the one that is buying your goods. Before you start, of course, think about other regions. These are the guys who are buying your goods, all right? And of course, this surrounding community is even the one that is allowing you to exploit their minerals, their natural resources, depending on the kind of business you're doing. So you owe them quite a lot. You need to appreciate them. Then how do you appreciate them? For example, I mean, build schools, all right, where the kids can easily, study there at a very subsidized rate or even for free. Let that school, in this case, be maintained by your company. You can even adopt the local. You can adopt the local social responsibility. You adopt the local primary school, adopt the local health centers, and in this case, you finance them, just to ensure that the local community is doing very well. If, for example, you are in a semi-arid area, you can do a borehole, all right? And that borehole should be maintained very well. I mean, we must keep on coming up with what we call increasing our social relationship capital. That's very, very important. Again, remember, like nowadays, ladies and gentlemen, even companies are artificial human beings. We also need other companies to be our friends, social capital. All right? Don't be that company that just antagonizes everybody. Even your competitors would want your competitors to die. Like me, I would not want my competitors to die. Because without them, I'm so sure, ladies and gentlemen, in this life, you need some little bit of pressure. You should never walk on a straight line. You need some little bit of pressure. So in this case here, these competitors will always ensure that you are waking up like now I'm waking up at 5 a.m. to teach. If they weren't there, I'm so sure I would not be doing this. Because I'm doing this to be a bit innovative here and there, so that even if we are there with them, we should be ahead. All right. But if they weren't there, I mean, I would maybe be having like 20 students alone. All right. So social capital, how do you relate with the other entities like KRA? Are you that kind of an entity in this case that says, I mean, KRA, you're going home with nothing, we're not going to pay you? Social capital, how are you handling in this case your suppliers? Are you that kind of a person when suppliers have made their supplies, then you don't pick their calls at all? Social and relationships. If you're looking at longevity, social and relationships in this case here, we must be top notch. We must be top notch. Then we have here the natural capital. This is very good, especially for those companies that are in the mining sector. Natural resources, I mean the minerals. You must have a plan. You must be able to work with the expert in this field who will be able to come and tell you, hey, this mineral, the way we are seeing it, try to get other licenses. This is depleting very fast. Or whatever you're doing, explorations down there, you may not be able to get enough, I mean, oil. All right. So we must be able to look at the natural resources that we have, the forest, sea that we are consuming. For longevity, we also need to be adding what here? We also need to be adding value to them, right? So if it's something that we can do, for example, we have been able to excavate, are we able to come and feel, I mean, make the environment good? Because if the environment is bad, remember natural resources, you have excavated, you're not even maintaining that land through proper land fill. And then we have some children coming to play around, they get inside there, fortunately they die, and then you are into many cases here, right? All right. If it's forest and you're not, in this case here, replanting those trees that are cutting, your longevity will not be there. So when we talk about the 6 capitals, before I even share with you this, is there someone who can just try remembering the ones, the easy ones? If you're asked something to do with the 6 capitals of integrated reporting, will you be able to remember them? Is there anybody who will be able to remember them? The 6 capitals, let's see how many you can remember. 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 How many can we remember? Let's see those students who are really, I hope everybody will be able to write something here. I hope everybody will be able to write something here, the 6 capitals. If we do 1, 1, 1, 1, I'm so sure you'll be able to exhaust them. Yeah, financial capital, social and relationships. There are those ones that I will never forget myself. There are those like intellectual, like human resources. Most of us are treating our human resources as rubbish, which is very bad. Minerals, human and natural capital. Thank you very much, Julia Sabonyo. I mean, you get somebody working for a company, and this company does not believe in the 3 R's. Refuse, reuse, social and relationship capital, natural capital. Great. I think we have mentioned all of them, really. I think we have mentioned all of them, which is very, very good, which is very, very good, which is very, very good, which is very, very good. So an integrated report should detail the impact that the reporting entity's business model has on the full range of capitals. So you must come and tell us, this RCM college, and in terms of this capital here, I mean, what impact? How are we using our financial resources? Are we safe? We must be able to come here and detail what here and detail like how does our capital structure look like, right? Manufacture the capital. Our buildings, are they depreciating? Are we thinking of improving and building new ones? are we registering our trademarks? You know, you get, for example, like myself, I can't joke around, right? Because like now I started, in this case here, RCM, and I think that time I was very young, RCM as a brand. And then I realized that so many guys were coming this space and calling them RCM as well. So what do we do? So in this case here, we went to KIPI and registered the trademarks. So nowadays I'm seeing they're changing their names slowly from RCM, which is very, very good. So any good company, the moment you start flourishing, then you must be able to invest in this intellectual capital. Keep on, in this case, you're making your copyrights, making, in this case, your trademarks, I mean, shining every other day. What are you doing to your human resources to develop them, right? What have you done to your social? Do you have new partners, for example, in the year? Your natural resources that you're exploiting here. I mean, what are you doing regarding them? So I'm going to show you a real example. I always like showing my students real examples because after my class, I expect you guys to get out there and even practice. So I'm going to show you case studies of Safaricom and the EABL, how they're doing their integrated reports. So the contents of an integrated report, what is it that you have to show in any integrated report? Any integrated report must have, in this case here, the very first year, the concept of organizational overview. So under the organizational overview, you simply speak about who is EABL, what are their main products, what are the main markets they're operating in, right? So just the general overview. For example, when it began, their very initial flagship projects here and brands, etc. You must tell us something to do with governance. How many directors do you have? Out of those directors, how many of them are full-time? And how many of them are what year? Part-time. How many of them, ladies and gentlemen, are executive and how many are independent? You must come and tell us something about opportunities and what year risks. Basically, you must do a SWOT model. SWOT analysis, you're looking at the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. All right. So like if it's breweries, what do you think are some of the key threats of breweries? Anybody who can tell me just one threat that you're able to imagine, which of course breweries is facing? Because you must state that in an integrated report. Because you would want somebody who comes across your integrated report, then they should be able to make a decision to invest in breweries or any other company that you're representing consciously. They should have known some of these things. So I'm waiting to hear from you. What do you think are some of the major risks that can really happen and affect breweries big time? I can give you one, climate change. Climate change is a big factor. All right. Nowadays, you can even see them going all the way to Tanzania to look for barley, to look for wheat. That's a big, big risk. That's a big risk for them. Aha. Great. Yeah, government policies and regulations here. Like now they're really, really changing their big finance. That's a big risk. You know, like there's a time breweries, they began selling the famous keg. And the keg became very popular. But all of a sudden, the government came and introduced something at the florim, whatever tax or whatever like that. And I mean, they were not able to make any profits out of this. So nowadays, they don't do it big scale. All right. All right. And does it have any opportunity? Yeah, illicit brews, I love this. Illicit brews, I love this. Great. But does it have any opportunities? Or is it, I mean, if you are to be employed today to be the CEO of a breweries, are you able to see any opportunities? Thank you so much for chipping in. All companies in this case here have opportunities. Like we know RCM is a sleeping giant in terms of matters of ACCA. Very good, like what Monica is telling us there. And they tried. I don't know whether it's still there, aloe vera. Not aloe vera. Yeah, it was called aloe vera or something. Venturing into non-alcoholic drinks, yes. Because right now they have a very, very good distribution channel. All right. And most of them, yeah, venturing into new markets, yes. So they are still untapped. Alvaro, yes. Thank you, Ruth. Yes. Alvaro, yes. Great. Thank you so much. So then if it's integrated report, you must also tell us something about your strategy and resource allocation. Strategy about plans. You must give us your the strategy that you have formulated, for example, the long-term strategy to 2028, whatever. This has to be made public. And of course, it has to be summarized in an integrated report. Tell us in this case here, what are your plans for cost reduction? What are your plans for revenue increase despite the markets being very tough? What resources do you have and how are you going to allocate them? Then you must always tell us something to do with the business model. Business model is how are you making your money? How are you making your money? We don't want to be a company which makes money out of what we are laundering. So if it's RCM, we make money by training. We train. So I'm able to do a very good business case in my integrated report. How much do we charge per course, etc. Then, of course, you must give us performance highlights. Very, very important. You must tell us how you performed in the integrated report. And then you must always have a whole paragraph, even a whole page, talking about future outlook. Talking about future outlook, like that. And now that marks the end of what year this integrated report. But I would want to take you straight away to the EABL one report, the annual report of EABL, for you to get to see really what happens outside here. I'm not marketing them at all. I'm not marketing any of their products, but I love the accountants who are at EABL. That is where they normally win Fire Awards. Those guys are mean. They are doing a crazily nice thing. So you can see EABL since 1922. They are celebrating life and they are working. They're moving ahead. Brewing good today for a sustainable tomorrow. It is a 2023 integrated report and financial statements. 100 years old, 100 years bold. Tusker, finest Kenyan lager. There's a rider here, excessive alcohol consumption is harmful to your health, not for sale to persons under the age of what year? 18. So you can see the overview about us, our performance, strategic review, corporate governance, financial statements. So about this report, the report itself, of course, will tell you the framework they're using for accounting, for financial reporting, and the framework they're using for auditing, or rather their auditors are using. Our reporting scope and the boundary. The integrated report for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2023, provides a comprehensive overview of EABL's business model. It encompasses information regarding our company strategy, governance, material risks, approach to operating responsibly, and financial and non-financial performance. The objective is to deliver a cohesive and inclusive report to our current and potential investors that reflects how the company creates value for all its stakeholders. Framework. Our integrated report follows the principles outlined in the International Integrated Reporting Framework, ensuring adherence to its fundamental concepts. The annual financial statements have been diligently prepared in accordance with the International Financial Reporting Standard Framework, IFRS. The report is part of our commitment to fostering transparency and accountability towards our stakeholders. The group continuously evaluates whether there are additional reporting frameworks or metrics we could use to further enrich our disclosures. Materiality. We apply the principle of materiality in assessing which information is to be included in our integrated report. Through a review of our operating environment and engagement with our stakeholders, we have identified and reported on the issues, risks, and opportunities that we believe could materially affect EABL and its ability to be a sustainable business that consistently delivers value to our key stakeholders. Value. Assurance. To enhance the integrity of our report, the financial statements were audited by PricewaterhouseCoopers LLP. The independent report in relation to the financial statements of the group is set out on page 139 to page 143 of this group. Since 1922, EABL celebrating life. Inside the report, what do we expect to see? Our business, EABL's overview, one of those components of integrated report. The geographic footprint, where are they? The group structure, corporate history and significant milestones, our business model, page 14, our stakeholder management, our performance highlights. Of course, we have what we call MDAs, management discussions and analysis, which are here in your syllabus. They are here in your syllabus. You can see here, management commentary, management discussions and analysis. Very, very important. Now mine has disappeared. Yes. All right. So under management discussions and analysis, we must have the chairman giving his statement. We must have the CEO giving his statement and the CFO giving his statement. Very important. You can't tell us that now this is not proper for us to give out our strategy to our competitors or whatever. Nothing. Nowadays, you must put everything bare naked. Our strategy, we have strategic review, we have the market trends. You can see they have a whole like 10 pages, 6 pages, where they're talking about their corporate governance. Then I will talk about financial statements. I'll just be very brief here. EABL is committed to creating economic, social, and environmental value in the communities where we live, work, source, and sell. We are focused on preserving the resources upon which our business and our communities depend. We are working to preserve water for life, accelerate to a low-carbon world, and become sustainable by design, helping to create a better future for communities everywhere. Yeah. This, of course, the way I see this must be maybe Serengeti. You know, they have acquired Serengeti breweries. Serengeti, all right. So our business, very, very important. Our business. EABL overview. EABL is a leading branded alcohol beverages business in East Africa. Since the inception of our flagship product, Tusker, over 100 years ago, EABL has grown through constant innovation to offer a wide and outstanding collection of brands that range from beer and spirits to adult, non-alcoholic drinks. Adult, non-alcoholic drinks, reaffirming our standing as a total audit beverage TAB company. How I wish soon they can also get into this coffee tea business. We are proud of our achievements over the last century, and especially the impact we have generated among our people. Our expansive value chain is deeply intertwined within the tapestry of our communities, touching farmers, transporters, distributors, and retailers to the people employed directly and indirectly because of our products. Our geographic footprint, our extensive network of breweries, distilleries, and distribution facilities span the 6 markets within which we operate in East Africa, especially concentrated in the 3 core markets of Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. Despite operating in East Africa, our unique products can be found in more than 10 countries across Africa and beyond. If you go to South Africa, you'll be able to get a beer from EABL. The group's geographic diversity is an important factor in delivering the highest quality brands to East African consumers and long-term value to investors. So you can see in Kenya, 72% of the group volumes are sold here, which of course accounts also for 64% of group net sales. Uganda is 18%, 21%. No worries about those figures. But you can see they're also in Southern Sudan. Tanzania is coming up, etc. So the group structure, who owns EABL? EABL, of course, we have Diageo, which is a British company, being the controlling entity. All right. So it owns 65%. And then now we have other public shareholders now, like some of us who have bought their shares there. All right. And then EABL itself is a holding company. It's a holding company. What does it hold? It has Kenya Breweries Limited, 100% of it. United Distillers Vintners, UDV, they bought this one, 46.3. So it's an associate. East African Maltings Limited, EAML, 100%. They have bought Uganda Breweries Limited, almost 100%. All right. They have International Distillers Uganda Limited, 100%. East African Breweries Rwanda, 100%. Serengeti Breweries Limited in Tanzania, 85%. They're trying to showcase how they're making their money and, of course, telling us their markets. Corporate history and significant milestones. This one you guys should be able to read on your own later. It's very important because I want you to start developing a story for your companies. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I've taught so many students like Joshua Igara, former CEO KCB, now he's at Stanbic, was my student. I'm 100% assuring you, in the next 3-5 years, you guys will find yourself in the CFO's seats or CEO's seats. You'll be required to know how to prepare this. So sustainable sourcing, we have a network of 62,000 farmers from whom we source 80% of our sorghum and the barley. In financial year 23, EABL Agri Forum brought together over 100 stakeholders from the private sector, government, academia, and NGOs to discuss pertinent issues around sustainable agriculture in the region. So they're talking about their brands. They're talking about this capital, the financial capital, the human capital. I would want you to take time and read this. So financial capital provided by our equity and debt holders, as well as cash flow earned from our operations, are a critical input in executing our business activities and in generating, accessing, and deploying other forms of capital. The stakeholders here, we have investors, regulators. And you can see they're giving us the shareholder equity, Kenya shillings 32 billion. Total debt, 61 billion. Remember, debt is always cheaper. Always go for more debt than your equity. Cash generated from operations in the financial year, 26 billion. And in 2022, for comparison, you can see it was 35. So something they have to explain here. That reduced. Human capital, you can see a workforce of 2,000. Fair pay and benefits and terms of employment. Kenya shillings 13.5 billion, total employee costs. Yeah. Training and development key, spending 146 million. A refreshed culture that is people-centered, bold, innovative, and competitive. Continued investment in employee welfare and well-being policies. So human capital, we're proud of our people whose passion, commitment, and specialist skills make the difference. We invest in training and career development and develop well-being policies for our people to be the best that they can be, championing inclusion, and diversity is fundamental to driving engagement and achieving the best possible outcomes for our business. All right. So these are really key things that I would want you guys to read. Like if it is intellectual capital, ladies and gentlemen, our intellectual property includes the equity of our brands that we have built over the years, consumer insights, commercial data, new product innovations and investments in manufacturing, logistics, and sales execution. Stakeholders, our people, consumers, so marketing, selling, and distribution, world-class IT systems and digital platforms, etc. Social and relationship capital. Maintain the trust of our stakeholders is essential to our business. Our most valuable relationships are with our people, the communities we operate in, our customers, consumers, suppliers, governments, regulators. We are committed to doing our business the right way, from grain to glass. Wonderful statement. And in this case here, they are talking about the relationships here. Over 200,000 retailers, distributors, and agents. Investment in product innovation to meet consumer needs. Over 60,000 suppliers operating across our value chain. And you can see by the side here, they are talking about these things, innovation. Manufacturing capital, we have a regional network of sites devoted to research and development, distillation, maturation, brewing, warehousing, and packaging of spirits and beer. Our investment in our manufacturing and logistics assets are a source of competitive differentiation. Kenya shillings 81 billion in property, plant, and equipment. You can see all this. Manufactured capital or manufacturing capital. Natural capital, we recognize that the threats to our environment are urgent and growing, and we are committed to taking actions to preserve the scarce resources. So you can see 2.7 million of water used in our operations. 2022, they used more. So here they saved. Energy usage, you can see here they used whatever, mega, whatever, 1.07. So, and you can see most of them, if you read, they are getting into renewable energy. Right? Renewable energy. The value we create to our consumers, to our customers, to our suppliers, to our people, etc. So the last area that I would want to read for you guys before I jump onto something different is chairman's. The management discussions and analysis, because managers must always discuss the performance. So like now we have here Martin Oduor, he is the group chairman. What does he have to tell us about EABL in 2023? It gives me great pleasure to share with you the strides our company made in the fiscal year 23. Despite operating in an increasing tough macroeconomic environment coupled with geopolitical disruptions, which disproportionately raised our cost and depressed consumer spending, the group remained resilient and delivered a respectable performance. Multiple excise tax increases in the course of the financial year continue to have a lagging effect on consumer spending power, leading to slower offtake of our products. Amid these challenges, we maintained our strategic focus and agility. We were agile on delivering value to our consumers and all our stakeholders through executional excellence and operational efficiency. I don't want to read the whole of it. You guys will be able to go through that. You have the time. I take this opportunity on behalf of the board to recognize and celebrate our employees, customers, consumers, suppliers, partners, agencies, and governments in respective countries in which you operate. You know, you do it in English and the Kiswahili. It's a listed company that is provided for under CMA. Then we have this great lady. Unfortunately, now age is not on our side. She's over 60 years. She should be retiring anytime, maybe this year or next year, but she has done quite a lot for breweries, quite a lot. Which of course resonates very well with this statement that whatever a man can do, a woman can do better. So over the past fiscal year, the word most used to describe the environment in which we have been operating has been tough. And it was evident in households and countries as well. as the market in East African and the Great Lakes region in which you operate. Discretionary spending reduced as the cost of living has gone up with the increased cost of energy, the main culprit, exacerbated by the continued effects of the global geopolitical tensions. Of course, 2023 is when we had a lot of Russia, Ukraine, which were affecting us here. And a devastating drought in Kenya, partly blamed on climate change. The key impact of the inflation on our business was felt in the cost of manufacturing, where the cost of grains increased by 31%, logistics by 14%, electricity by a whole 40%, and neutral spirits by 61%. The cost of glass also went up significantly in Kenya after the introduction of a 25% tax on imported tax. On the regulatory front, we experienced in Kenya several excess tax increments, with the business having to absorb the compounded effect of the increase via the Finance Act 22. And the inflationary adjustment, the worsened macro environment was in full effect in the second half of fiscal year 23. It's therefore with much pride that I report a resilient performance on the back of a challenging operating environment. Why am I reading this, ladies and gentlemen? I'm reading this because this is given in your syllabus. If you look at your syllabus, just a moment. If you look at your syllabus here, you see this, 6.3, management commentary, management discussions and who? Analysis. Management commentary, management discussions and analysis. I can see a chart here. Yeah, great. I'll be able to share, Monica. Great. All right. Then we come back to my book. I'll also share this book with you. This book is very important for you guys, very important. Management commentary. Management commentary provides users with context through which to interpret the financial position, financial performance, and the cash flows of an entity. Management commentary is not mandatory. However, the board has produced a practice statement that provides guidance when producing management commentary. As per the CMA, Capital Markets Act authority, if you are a listed company, you must have this management commentary. You must have the management commentary. Elements of management commentary, this is how it comes in your exams. Management commentary should include information about the nature of the business, management objectives and its strategies for meeting them. They must talk about the resources, risks, and relationships, the results of operations, and the prospects. Key performance measures used by the management to evaluate the performance. So I repeat, management commentary should include the following: the nature of business, right? You had, of course, Martin Odor talking about, in this case here, grain or whatever. I mean, if you read, you'll be able to understand what business are they doing? How is the macroeconomic environment, all right? What is it that they really did to ensure that against that very bad trend, environment of high taxes, what do they do against that bad grain to still post a very good performance? The entity's resources and risks and relationships, the results of operations and prospects, and the key performance measures used by the management to evaluate the entity's what-year performance. So if I were you, like, for example, I'm so sure you guys are now starting to prepare. I mean, if you normally do these management reports, I'm so sure already you have started preparing some reports, in this case here, for the last quarter. You need to start adopting this kind of a model, all right, of reporting, all right? So, of course, you need these people to know that this is a very serious what-year accountant, all right? So anyway, giving any report, Try talking about macroeconomic factors. What we shall be learning here called the pestel. How was the politics? There was a lot of heat. Of course, after the broad-based government, now you can see things are, use that language. Things are stabilizing. And when they are stabilizing, then what is the effect between that stability and the company's what year? Company's performance. Talk about economic metrics here, inflation, etc. Right? Before you give just your numbers. Nowadays, accountants don't just give numbers. No, there must be a story, right? Whenever we talk of integrated report, we're looking at financial and non-financial. Non-financial, that story that you give is really, really very, very good. And now, fortunately, you guys, you are quite lucky. Because during our times, we had to study a lot. These conjunctions, to know how to do reporting was very, very tough. 3-4 years ago, reporting was very, very tough. But nowadays, even myself now under Aura and Co, because I run a certified public accountant licensed audit, tax and advisory firm called Aura and Company. I mean, if there is anything easy nowadays, is to write reports. That time when you used to look at somebody has done a report, you have to review it yourself as a managing partner to see where they have used conjunctions. How do they move from one paragraph to the next paragraph? Using nonetheless. However, moreover, imagine that error is gone 100% thanks to artificial intelligence, thanks to ChatGPT. Are you guys using ChatGPT at your workplaces here to simplify your work? Is anybody who is using ChatGPT at their workplaces to simplify their work? Yes, if you're not using it, you are making a very big mistake. You'll be left behind. By now, let me tell you the truth here. Even, for example, right now, if, for example, though I don't do those things, I don't even have time, but if, for example, we have an altercation, say, in the morning with my wife, and I realized later on that I was the one who is wrong, and I would now want to tender in an apology, I can't start writing from the first principles. I'll simply go to ChatGPT, tell ChatGPT a story, a little bit story, and then tell ChatGPT to write for me. And whatever language will use will be much better than what I would have used. It will be able to show empathy, and the concern much better than myself. So you need to really, if, for example, you are doing like, you are doing a proposal to a potential customer, always use ChatGPT. ChatGPT will give it like 3-4 lines, tell ChatGPT, this RCM, we do training, and now there is this person who has asked us to do what here to give them a proposal to train their people, advanced Excel. So I write like that, and then I tell them that we're going to charge them, say 30,000 shillings per person, blah, blah, give it our address, and then hit enter, telling ChatGPT to write the whole report. It'll write you a 10-page report, like that. So we need to start learning every time, all right? Even when you are doing your social media, Facebook adverts, try as much as possible to use ChatGPT, especially the one which is paid for, all right? So for example, right now you can go to ChatGPT, give it the 4.0, the one that you don't know, the 3.5, the one that you pay. You go to it, give it your financial analysis, or rather give it your financial statements, tell it to calculate the key ratios and describe. As an accountant, I'm supposed to know that. All right. All right. So those are because the moment you become good in reporting, yeah, thank you, Dorcas. There is a free course on ALX to help people learn on how to use AI in the professional space. That is very good of you, Dorcas. I'm not known of it. I'll check it out as well. And then we advise all students of RCM. We must know. This is something we need to know. It is not in this era that we expect you guys to be making any grammatical mistakes. And you should not take, in this case, a lot of time to really try to think about, is this grammar correct or wrong? What you need to do, you just write normally. And then what you do, paste it on ChatGPT. And then, of course, it gives you, in this case here, correct grammar. Tell it to give you the same document, but now in proper grammar. It will do that exactly. But of course, you can't do that in the world of academia. world of academia, still they would want you to do most of this work from first principles because of the Turnitin, because of plagiarism. But in the workspace, try as much as possible to do this. As a RCM, what have we done ourselves on this front? If you look at your LMS, we have provided you with a notepad. There's something you'll be able to see there called notepad. So that notepad is an AI tool. So for example, like now today, I've given you a lot of information about this integrated reporting. So I expect you to go to the notepad, put the integrated reporting, and this thing is able to pull notes. And then it's able to send to your email address. So you're also improving as a college, small college, but I mean, trying to produce something that even University of Nairobi doesn't have. And all this is courtesy of what here? AI. We'll be able to have a session where we teach you guys how to use our LMS. Even this semester things are going to be a little bit different, not how we've been doing it. For instance, ladies and gentlemen, now we have all the videos covering the entire syllabus. I would want to implore on you that we need to start working with these videos a lot than even live sessions. A lot. Like right now, I don't expect when I come here tomorrow to do anything on this topic. What I would expect, ladies and gentlemen, is a situation where my students will be able to watch the video on the LMS, which I'll be able to pinpoint to them, tell them watch all these videos. So that when you come now here tomorrow, I should be tackling past paper questions directly related to this topic. Because when you have done your homework. So now mine will be to answer questions and give you answers there. We discuss them now, all right? Where are we having a change in strategy? It's because your examiner has also upped his game of setting exams. Are you guys realizing that with time, CASNEB exams are becoming technical and technical? Is there somebody who has made that observation that CASNEB exams, they're becoming harder and harder? It seems you guys are not. Then you guys must be geniuses. If you're realizing that exams offered by CASNEB are becoming harder and harder by the semesters, you guys must be geniuses. So yeah, it's true. If you look at, for example, financial management intermediate level last semester, that paper was, I mean, people are getting 18%, 8%. All right. But fortunately, the pass mark also will be very low. People will be able to still pass. But now we also have to change strategy. The good thing with, again, those videos, when you watch them, we have enabled them. You know, initially, that is something that really disturbed our developers. Initially, we were not able to have students increase the video speed, right? But now our developers were able to work around the coins here, trying to flatten everything. And now you can watch that video on a higher speed, 1.5, 1.25. Don't watch your videos at 1.0. Videos shall always be watched at a higher speed. You only go to 1.0 or even 0.75 when you're not understanding. But if you are following like now this theory, you simply go and put there Mwalimu 1.5. When Mwalimu is put at 1 point, you finish. You're able to save time. You're able to save time. You're able to save time. All right. So that makes it very easy and quicker for everybody, And that is why you realize that, you know, like if you look at our classes here at RCM, I mean, there will be very few colleges that can match us. It's simply because we are what innovative. Like now, this learning management system is really a revolutionary thing. Is there somebody up to now who can't access their LMS? Anybody up to now who doesn't have access to the learning management system? Okay. Oh, then I should be able to take this with a lot of priority to ensure that Judy, Hillary, and the other ninja, they are connected to this LMS. Because without it, you always have issues. We have made it mandatory. Even our links, we are only sharing them right now here. Even our links in the future, they will be in the LMS. They will be in the LMS. in the LMS. So on the LMS, we're also going to apportion it. You shall be seeing LMS class tutorials and revision. So you're going to, if for example, you subscribe for AFR, you'll be seeing, or Julius Abonyo, issues with AFM, okay? You'll be seeing in this case here, the classwork with notes and videos. And then you'll be seeing pure revisional videos. So that should you do chapter 1, finish it, go to chapter 1 revision, watch all those videos like that. So you're going also to really improve. So I'll be able to sort you out, ladies and gentlemen. Otherwise, you're still waiting for these results to be released. I will not be doing, lengthy classes like today and tomorrow, no, but from next week now it will be full throttle. So that is enough for today. If there are any new students who would want to join us, of course, you have our number, 0719 525 000. 0719 525 000. Otherwise, bye and a good day.